Hey, thanks for joining us once again on the Third Eye of Providence for our Fool's Journey series. This is episode number 5, and the card we have today to review is going to be number 4, the Emperor. If you haven't already gone back and checked out the other episodes in this series, make sure to go check the playlist and hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get the notification every day in January when I post a new video, and you can follow along with us as we go card by card, step by step through the Fool's Journey in the Tarot from start to finish. So like I said, we're doing the Emperor card today, and I will go ahead and give you the description from The Complete Book of Tarot, A Comprehensive Guide by Anthony Lewis. Then I'll move into my intuitive interpretations of the card. I'll give you some deeper understanding of the symbolism in the cards and some of the esoteric knowledge that is represented in these cards that helps us get a better understanding of the energy that we are reading for yourself, for the client, or in general tarot videos when we watch them online. Okay, like we said, number 4, the Emperor. To me, this is always like a stern card. Look at his face, Oh, and let me show you the illustration in this book so you can get even more insight into the cross deck confirmations of the images. See some symbolism in here. All right. Now, according to the guide, this says that the Emperor is known as the ultimate secular authority. Astrologically, this card is connected to Aries, the ram, and that is a fire sign that is ruled by Mars. The element connected with this card, again, of course, is fire. And there are some archetypes and myths connected to this energy as well. It would be known as the ruler, the king of kings, the great father, the head of state, Zeus, Yahweh, Uranus, and George Washington. So those would be the archetypes we would see connected to the card of the Emperor. Now, when we read the Emperor in a reading for a client or for yourself, in the upright, this is a card that represents a person of authority, person with will and planning, organization skills, an analytical person, a strategic thinker, and somebody with a rigid masculinity. The Emperor is the father archetype, the lord and master who knows how to get things done. A powerful leader, he takes charge, puts things in order, and protects those in his domain. He rules with his mind rather than with his heart. The Emperor appears in a reading to remind us to step up to the plate, be true to our principles, and use our powers to structure our lives to accomplish what we must get done. You need to set clear goals and establish firm limits when the Emperor appears in a reading so that we can provide stability and getting things done. Beautiful. Now, in the reverse, this card suggests that in some way the querent may have been remiss in fulfilling their role as a leader, an organizer, or a person in charge. Perhaps they have been pussyfooting around, or at the other end of the spectrum, they've been acting in a dictatorial manner. So this card says, don't be a wimp. It's time to act your age and put your life in order. You need to analyze the situation and establish boundaries and limits and develop a plan so that you do what needs to be done. Apparently, Harry S. Truman kept a sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." to remind him that as president, he has the final authority to make decisions, but also ultimate responsibility for the consequences. Interesting. Okay, so in the positive aspects of this card, you would be interpreting the energy as power, ambition, leadership, authority, order, control, logic, reason, objectivity, setting limits, forcefulness, courage, self-confidence, discipline, responsibility, majesty, impressiveness, protection, will, life force, fathering, masculine power, stability, structure, realism, firm foundations, taking charge, and the ability to get things done. In the negative aspects of this card, it can represent arrogance, inflexibility, butting heads, impotence, a lack of confidence, immaturity, conventionality. Now, in a negative aspect, of course. Says lack of reason or excessive rationality, indecision, disorder, a lack of structure, abuse of power, vanity, and the inability to get things done, and failure to take charge when needed. Okay. Now, how we see these energies play out through different tarot decks, it says in the Mathers version of the tarot from 1888, whenever the Emperor would appear in a reading, it would be represented as realization, development, and effect. In the reverse, it would be unripeness, immaturity, and stoppage. Interesting. Now, going forward into the Rider-Waite from the 1900s, it would represent stability, power, protection, and realization. A great person, an aid, someone who's reasonable, and convictions. Also, it represents authority and will. But in the reverse, in the Rider-Waite, it could mean hyper-compassion and benevolence, also confusing your enemies and obstruction, and immaturity. In the Order of the Golden Dawn, when the Emperor appears, they would read it as ambition, domination, victory, conquest, strife, and war. Of course, that is the meanings derived from the sign of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, the god of war. Very interesting. Okay, so that's what we have from the guide, and let me give you a little insights into the symbolism behind the card. Now, automatically, and this is the Robert Hansen's Tarot, which is from the 1980s, and it is medievally themed in the art. It's not hyper traditional like the Rider-Waite, but it is very similar. So, what I would like to point out to you, symbolism that you'll see throughout many versions of Tarot in this card, would be the ram represented here to symbolize Aries, the connection with this card. You also see a crown on the Emperor, of course, must be wearing a crown. Traditionally, the outfit is very important as well. There will typically be a red cloak, and that's because the red is, of course, connected to fire. So that's the representation of Mars energy there. But more so, too, this is about the root chakra. The red would represent stability, foundations, grounding, and all the things you would need to be in your earthly power, right? So what is really fascinating about this particular cloak is there's a lot of blue around the heart chakra and into the throat chakra, which is all about the masculine energy, which, of course, like we've said, gender roles are over in the age of Aquarius. But masculine energy is all about the solar, and it's a very protective and truth-based energy. And this is what the color blue here over the heart and the throat is to represent to us. in the subconscious, we automatically pick up these symbols. And I'd also like to point out so much of the gold over this area as well, right down the center, because gold is a very high vibrational energy. The metal of gold is very conductive, and basically this is to represent that there is divine truth coming from this emperor in the upright. In the positive, masculine polarity of the emperor, this is exactly what this is about. It's about protection, stability, truth, and divine. So like the highest intelligence. There's also, of course, some purple here to represent the royalty of this person, and also the intuitiveness. You know, it's on the shoulder. It's not here. It's not quite like in the High Priestess or anything. It's just that there's a touch of this royal legacy, you know. And I think in an idealistic way, we would consider that, you know, there's something that's handed down, like a type of a responsibility. Now, going further, what you'll also see, of course, is that this emperor is seated on a throne. In one hand, they hold an ankh, which is to represent, you know, the breath of life and infinite throughout time, this like divine intelligence of the cycles and everything with life. In this hand, they hold a, I want to say this is a crystal ball, basically, but it might be something else too. It doesn't always have to be a crystal ball, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's some of the symbolism in this card, and now you'll see the connection here, right? This is the twin tarot, positive polarity of the emperor, and you can see the similarities in the cards. Now, this card, same thing with the purple, same thing with the crown, the red in the cloak, and the purple, just a touch of it to represent that this is like somebody who uses their, you know, they're getting a lot of energy from above and they're bringing it into below, but they're rooted, they're seated and on their throne. Another thing I want to point out about this card is that not only are they holding the ankh, but they also have a shield and a sword here. And to me, this would kind of represent being protective and being ready to defend, you know, not just all talk. This is somebody who is ready to take action if necessary, but is comfortable in their own authority. And in the shadow aspect, you would see a really stark difference between the demeanor of these two people, right? Do you see how all of the purple has shifted to red? This is about force, and this is about control and dictatorship. And you'll notice that this person is totally armored up. They're holding the sword in this one, and they're no longer holding the ankh. They're holding this other, I want to say this is some, I can't remember what this is, but basically, look, you can see too in the shield is totally different as well. It's a fire-breathing dragon. And even the background, see the difference? This is like clarity and serene, and this is like smoke and definitely looks like a war happening out there. All right, and I hope that is enough background into what we're interpreting when we see the Emperor card. If there's something I missed, and there's probably plenty of other things that I did not pick up on this card, make sure to leave a comment. Hit the like button if this content is helping you and you find it very informative, or you are really interested in seeing this journey continue. I would really appreciate the feedback. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and make sure to, like I said, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for the next episode.